Hello, and thank you for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Rwanda envoy tells President Buhari Nigerian elections reassuring to Africa as Bishop tells aggrieved politicians to go to court and stop inciting people to violence. I'll be hanging out with Olayinka Oyebile and Dotun Oladipo. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Let's begin with the issue of brain drain in the medical sector in Nigeria. The Association of Nigerian Private Medical Practitioners have kicked against the compulsory 5-year service by doctors proposed by the House of Representatives. The national president of the association, Kayode Adesola, said the proposed bill will have adverse effects on the health sector as it was premised on wrong notion. Doesn't any government will naturally and ordinarily be worried about the level of migration for medical experts and our medical doctors, our nurses, and and paramedical staffs, across the country. You know why I was saying so? One thing, Nigeria is one of the countries just that you can get your medical certificates as in one of the cheapest countries in the world. Just do a kind of aggregates. How much charge United States of America, how much charge in London, South Africa, and some other, So it is heavily subsidized. So the number of personnel that will turn up every year, but when they're now qualified on the job, the terms and conditions of their services, they don't always like it. So there's a tendency to migrate, to seek greener pasture. I think that's what...
We've had bills like this in the past. And this is not surprising that it's coming based on the premise you have analyzed now. But the point is this. As a student, whether you claim you are subsidizing my education or not, I've not entered into a contract with the government. I've not. I can only enter into a contract with an employer. That's just the basic truth. And if you recollect, we've said it on this program before. If you need at some point, because if that is one of the bases for this bill, that the cost of training medical students appears to be cheap. Then, in order to be able to fund education, you can do some increments here and there and make it sustainable even for the government. But trying to tie a student who wants to enter into university to signing an agreement with you is only going to succeed in doing one thing: chasing our students into other African countries that are nearby. You may argue that maybe we have some of the best facilities and all the rest, but that will pale into insignificance when you want to put people in slavery. Why are we having the exodus? Because the conditions of service here is poor. Even when you look at some of these doctors, when they go abroad, they don't even go to practice. They go to do other things.
Many jobs.
Is it not the same thing that is happening in the banking sector? That is specifically now the IT, where you have a load of our guys who are out of the country. We've said it on this program. Some of these guys who work in those banks, they are abroad, and the banks are begging them to continue working for them. Otherwise, the infrastructure would have collapsed completely. The system would have collapsed completely. So why do we want to bring a law that will have no sustainable basis in the long run? Because you ask, what if I decide as a medical student, as a medical doctor, I just want to leave the country after training me, even with your bond? and I don't want to go and practice elsewhere. And who says to you that your bond will be binding on other countries if I decide to leave? So we should address the issues as they are. Are you going to tell a doctor in the UK to sign, a medical student in the UK to sign a bond? Yeah, it's already a good environment for him to practice.
Yeah. This is not strange. I still want to differ with Dotun. In the United States of America, it is very expensive to study medicine. So they give them what they call student loan. So after qualifying as a medical doctor, years you are still paying back the US government. I want you to verify this. At least you understand the way the system runs.
Yes, but that system does not only favor, or is not, the student loan is not only for medical students, it's for all students. In our own case, I think that law is wrong-headed. Why am I saying this? In the first place, we are all here in Nigeria. In the 60s, 70s, the late Olukoyi Ransom Kuti, God bless his soul, was he trained in Nigeria? No. The former Minister of Health, he was not trained in Nigeria. He was trained in the UK. He got married. I think he married a British woman, and he came back home. Those things used to happen in the past. Nigerians go abroad, study, and come back home. But in Nigeria of today, because of military incursion, and even since we got back to democracy in 1999, what have the legislators done to make sure that the system works? If the system works, people will go abroad and come back. But now, university teachers who have been sent on that head fund, that tertiary education fund and all those things, to go and do PhD or whatever, who got there, finished their program, and looked at their options and said, no,
I'm not coming back.
I'm not coming back. They are ready to pay back, even with interest, the money that head fund has spent on them. These are issues that the legislators should look at.
Atmosphere.
How do we make sure that we make our country livable? You travel to the US. You go to my first trip abroad. We went to a restaurant, and we saw these young boys and girls. They were working. They said they are undergraduate. Why are you doing this? They said, no, I'm working to save money to travel to Africa, because the atmosphere for them is good. They will save more. They will work as an attendant in a hotel or in a restaurant, save money to travel to come and see Africa. In our own case, if a student there gets a visa to travel to the US or UK, such a student will not come back. In the 80s, even some part of early 90s, people do travel to UK and all that to go and spend holiday and come back and complete their education. Now you have people who are even qualified. So he is a medical doctor here. He prefers to go to the UK to go and be a shop attendant until, if possible, if he can sit and pass the exam or whatever.
Yeah. So many like
Those
that.
are the issues we should look at. It is not a case of saying if you sign them on that 5-year bond. Yes, if they sign the bond, are you going to wait for them at the airport when they are going and you identify that, oh, this is a medical doctor.
You cannot even travel for holiday.
He can't travel or what? No. So the issue we should look at is how do we make our system conducive for people to go abroad? People, look, when you look at it, and this is more or less like an American is perhaps one of the most uneducated person about other parts of the world. An American will
go to their schools.
Come and ask you, where is Africa? Or where is Nigeria?
Where is Nigeria?
No. Somebody asked me from Massachusetts.
Yes.
Somebody asked me that, how is New York? And that person
Who is that?
see the Statue of Liberty
So the issue is that when we make our country livable and we make our system work, we are going to, there will be no need for, look, I have not left Nigeria because I felt that, look, no matter what suffering one is having here, you have some people who are saying sa to you here. You are an oga here. You go there, one small boy who doesn't even know the next city in America will be talking to you and you'll be saying, yes, sir, yes, sir. So those are the issues. If we make our home livable, there's no need to ask them to enter into a bond. Well, we spend a lot to train them. Is there anywhere in the world that you don't spend a lot to train anybody? Not even medical students alone. Medical students, because of their own special, they deal with human life. Yes, more money will have been spent on them. But do we have a policy that makes sure that these people have a better job? Today, you see medical doctors in Nigeria. There was a time my friend's daughter wanted to do a residency. There was hardly anybody I didn't approach for her. And she had a good result to do residency. You tell me, oh, it's free. And the father believed that as a journalist, a senior journalist for that matter, I know everybody. I should be able to fix his daughter. I couldn't. That girl is in the US as we are talking.
Lost hope in this.
Exactly. Yeah. She even told, the father told me that she's ready to do it in any rural area. The best well to do. He's a retired banker. And he said, look, this girl just wants to do a residency here. Is ready any village, as long as it's in the southwest, is ready and he's going to fund her. He doesn't even want them to pay her anything. He will do everything. But my brother, when the girl tried and tried, she didn't get, she's now in the United States.
So it's all about making the atmosphere
conducive.
Yeah, it's important. This incoming government, from what some of the actors that will be in it promised, is the fact that there will be education loan.
Yeah.
So, can we start from there? That's one. Can we then look at how we can expand what we have in terms of medical schools, like you said, the residency thing? We have a lot of people who want to read medicine, who want to be doctors, who are, even at the JAMB level, they are qualified. You see that every year they keep raising the bar.
Yeah.
Can we expand the scope? I mean, what is available in terms of facilities, intake of students? Because these are the issues. When you get here, they say they can only take 30. The NUC has only approved 25. And you have about 60, 70 people who want to become doctors. Can we expand it? Can we make it? We have the professors who can take on these students. So it's important that we address those issues and not locking people down. If you're able to produce as many doctors as the country should have on a yearly basis, we're going to get out of it. If a few decide to leave and the atmosphere is conducive for others, why not? You've had it. In the last few weeks, the university, they've been saying that the moment they called off their strike, government has forgotten that there were promises that were made to them.
Yeah.
So is that the kind of atmosphere in which the House of Reps wants to legislate? No, it's just impossible. We need to look at those issues first, address them, make sure that the country is livable, not just for the doctors alone, for everybody. And then we can begin to say, okay, we have a system that is working.
All right.